Dos Santos, and this is the Black History Month project that we do every year here at Halloween Photography. And I'd like to get to know a little bit about your culture. So where are you from in terms of like culture and ethnicity?
So I was born in Massachusetts, but my family is originally from Cape Verde. We're tiny little islands on the west coast of Africa.
Nice. And where in Cape Verde is your family like?
So there's different islands. My family is from the Fogo Islands and the Praia Islands. So Praia is actually the capital.
Oh, Praia
yeah,
capital.
Yeah.
And so they're not like too far from each other?
No, they're not too far. It's like Cape Verde is big, yet it's so small type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things we have to kind of take a ferry to get from one island to the next.
Gotcha.
And every island kind of has like their own type of feel to it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. And then, so you kind of get like the best of both worlds kind of thing, being from two of them, in a sense.
Yeah, it's definitely, like there's different dialects, there's different preferences in the way certain foods are made.
Nice.
So I get to see how people from Fogo make it and how people from Fogo talk versus how people from Praia make it and how people from Praia talk.
Nice, yeah. I've definitely had some food from Cape Verde. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
How is in terms of like history over there, like who are your heroes?
My hero would definitely have to be my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, she, we're talking like a third world country kind of, so there's no real education. And if you had money, you would have proper education. My family didn't come from money. So she was able to come to America. She was able to not only bring herself here, but bring her kids here, which one of them was my mother. And that's how we all just came.
Nice.
Yeah, so she owns properties. She was able to maintain a place of employment for over 10 years. And she just really believes in group economics, so. Yeah.
I mean, you definitely need more of that.
Yeah. So if she didn't make that move, if she didn't bet on herself, I wouldn't be here. Probably be in Cape Verde.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who else like is in terms of being an entrepreneur? Who else has inspired you?
So I also had this aunt, called her Tia Dina. She growing up, she wasn't my aunt by blood, but in my country, like where we're from, we're big on just taking people in as family.
Gotcha.
So she wasn't my aunt by blood. She was my aunt through marriage, and she had this hustle where she would come here every summer and she would just rack up on products, whether it's hair products, whether it's just clothing, and she would take those items back to Cape Verde and she would sell them there.
Oh, so she would just come there, rack up, go back there, and just flip everything.
Right.
So she was like a citizen there, and she just come here at some time.
Right.
Wow. So I'm guessing entrepreneurship runs in your family with all that you mentioned. So tell me about your business, not to cut you off.
No, you're good. So in regards to the last statement, so it doesn't really run in my family, entrepreneurship. It's only her that's really the entrepreneur.
Gotcha.
Everyone else does have a job, and there's nothing wrong with having a job.
Yeah.
I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, or just in today's society, they kind of look having a job like a bad thing, but there's nothing wrong with having a job, Yeah, and we wouldn't have, everything that God does is in steps, and we wouldn't have gotten to this place of entrepreneurship if we didn't learn what we had to learn as employees.
True.
So, and in regards to my business, so I actually have a residential and commercial cleaning business. We are known as The Ladies, and I'm also a full-time licensed real estate agent in the state of Massachusetts. I'm working on getting my license in Rhode Island too. So I'm big on just being busy, but more so being productive. I think Denzel Washington said that just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Yeah. So I wanted to take myself to a place where I'm productive and producing and things like that.
A lot of people are like running around patting themselves on the back like, I'm busy, I got too much going on. Like, you look at a year, you look at 2 years, they were just busy, doing not much of anything. So being productive and being busy, like I wouldn't say they're like mutually exclusive.
Right.
There's definitely a difference. What are like 3 tips that you get to like aspiring entrepreneurs?
So my top 3 tips for aspiring entrepreneurs. The first one would definitely be to not quit. I think whatever, especially us as Black people too, we just go through a lot in a day. So when you're going through a lot in your households or in your job and then you start a business, it can be kind of frustrating at times. So my first advice would be to not quit. And don't try to compare your race to somebody else's race. So an example, you could be a licensed agent and I could be a licensed agent, and you might close on 10 deals your first year and I might close on 2 deals my first year, but don't measure or compare your business and your growth in comparison to somebody else.
Yeah, I feel that, because it's like a lot of times we get so wrapped up in what we, especially like with the world right now, everything's online. Like you might see me closing a deal every week, but like you don't see the grind. You just see what happens at the end of it. A lot of people don't understand that. And my mindset is, I'm happy things are going great for the next person. Eventually things will be going great for me. So that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. So what's your third thing?
My third thing would definitely be to just be your authentic self. A lot of times we want to just be one thing, and God's gifted you to be many different things. So put a comma behind your name and not a period, and just be yourself with whatever you do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, a lot of folks' purpose can't just be like put in one box.
Right.
You might be, because at one point you were Vanessa, the real estate agent.
Right.
And then so eventually, I'm assuming that's kind of what got you into the cleaning business. Yep. So tell us more about that.
So being a licensed agent, and in my office, whenever we had a house up for sale, or whenever a buyer would be closing on a house, most buyers want their house delivered, broom swept and cleaned. Immediately, as soon as possible, before they move in. Like, I'm moving in tomorrow, I want it clean. So it became a struggle in my office to find a reliable, responsive, and just somebody who knows how to clean. So it was a problem that I realized that not only I faced, but other agents in my office faced. And I was like, you know what? Let's solve this problem by starting a cleaning business. And it's part of my culture too. Like, cleaning is something you are trained to do. So it just worked out effortlessly.
Nice. And that's super cool, because now you're employing people and also solving a problem and just being consistent in what you do, and that's dope. Yeah. And people don't understand that. I think when we hear about starting a business, it just seems like it's such a mountain to climb. Right. Like you said, it's a problem. Right. I have a solution. Let's make it happen. Right. Yeah. So how's it been for you since you started?
So since I started, honestly, not to brag, but since I've started, I've been doing very, very well. And I think too, going back to saying being your authentic self, when people know just who you are and the work that you put in, and that you're reliable, you're responsive, whatever business you decide to start, people are going to come to you. So ever since then, the cleaning business, it's been 3 years, licensed agent, it's been 6 years, and the consistency's been beautiful. So I've been very blessed. Yeah.
And I'm assuming just having a cleaning business, being a person in office of the cleaning business, off the rip, you just get all these agents closing on property, closing on apartments. Vanessa, I need this done. I need, So that's how you go about it. Just having that vision and executing. So, what are your plans for the year?
So my plans for this year are actually to push myself and to do things that make me do things that I normally wouldn't do. In regards to business growth. So the old me, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't even be here. The old me would have been yeah, okay. But I realized that if you don't have that knot in your stomach, if you're not pushing yourself, you're not growing. Just getting used to being uncomfortable, and just pushing myself out there more. Yeah,
that's what it is. Definitely pushing yourself is just same as pushing your brand. Right. I think a lot of people don't realize that, we want this service, but a lot of times people want to know who's behind the service. Right. What are their moral values? Do they align with me? And that pushes the business further, especially when you're being your authentic self, like you mentioned. So we definitely appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Hang out with us.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And is there anything else you want to mention to aspiring entrepreneurs, anybody who's thinking about starting a business? Anything you want to leave them with?
So Nipsey really said, would you rather be, based off the book you read, would you rather be at war with yourself and at peace with the world. So would you rather be at peace with yourself and at war with the world? And if you have something inside of yourself that you believe you need to get done, or you need to create, or you need to maximize on, it's probably something that God wants you to do, and just do it. Because you don't want to look back on life and be like, dang, I should have maximized on that time, or I should have done more with my time. So just do it. And if you don't like it, if it's not something you're interested in doing, do something else. There's nothing wrong with, picking up a craft and realizing you're not passionate about it and doing something else. There's nothing wrong with it.
At least you tried.
At least you tried.
It's about trying. Yeah. I think that's, for me, since I was like a young boy, that's what Black History Month has always kind of been about. Because they sit there and they tell us about all these historical figures, and when it really just boils down to it, like, everyone in Black history, whether it be in this country or other countries, it's just people that just had like, a calling. They felt it in their bones, and they were just like, I'm gonna go after it. And they became some sort of historical figure. They became a hero to people, and then now their name lives on forever. So I definitely think like everyone's capable of like having some sort of legacy, but you have to believe it first before anybody else does. So yeah. Thanks again for coming down, Vanessa, and
thank you for having me.
Definitely. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you to you as well for tapping in and watching us. And I know Black History Month is only 28 days out of 365 days, but being Black is every day. So every day. So make sure that you take the time to just give yourself praise and be thankful for where you are right now, and don't take anything that you have for granted. I'd also like to thank Harley M Photography for having me here as well, and thank you to you as well for having me.
Definitely. Thanks for coming.